We're going to get started and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, let's get this thing going. Everybody, there's no public in the room, so I don't have to go over all that kind of stuff. We are holding this meeting tonight in accordance with the rules and procedures approved by this board at our last meeting. With that, do I have a motion? Well, did everybody get a chance to review the meeting minutes? Do I have someone to move the minutes? Motion by Tim, seconded by Adrian. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. If you look at the agenda, we're going to go all the way down to other board actions are the first things that we have coming up. The way we're going to handle those tonight is I'll go through staff, let them talk about them one at a time, and then we'll see if the applicant is online and would like to say anything, and then we'll go through the resolution. So, Ron, 2025-0101.
Yeah, St. Pauli's Textiles. Determination on that resolution.
Mm-hmm.
You've read it. I've not heard from the applicant. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so far.
I had a question about that, looking at this stuff.
This is the St. Pauli one, yep.
They're looking to add another building, is the way I look at it. I know it's not complete, but does that have to go to zoning board at some point because of the setbacks there with the property lines?
I believe it makes all the property lines. He's right at the limit.
Looking at
Oh.
the lines on Encore and different things, it looked like it could be.
Yeah, so we met with him, staff, talked about what the limits were. So the design of the building looks correct to be able to go right through planning without going to the ZBA. But the other items that we had talked about in that meeting are what you're seeing in the conditions of things that we feel that are still missing from this application.
Some of those are big ones too to be missing, so.
Hey.
um,
Right.
That's all I had, it looked close.
Yeah.
Quick layouts and stuff, but
Yeah, he's
Okay.
right on the, so,
Yeah.
if this does get approved by you guys, we're gonna keep a close eye on that when it's actually built to verify that he's making the.
Right, and
I have other questions about parking, maybe depending what shifts there, but I'm not going that deep tonight. It was more about the setback.
yeah, reminder, this was a acceptance of an application that it was complete so we could move forward, but we were determined by staff that it was not complete, and here are the items that are not complete.
So, Chairman, just one quick
Yes.
comment, though. This is just an amendment to this final site plan, so you only see it once.
Yes,
So just keep that in mind when it does finally become complete.
right, it's a
just, uh,
final site plan amendment.
Yeah, so, because they already have a site plan that's approved, they're just adding
Right.
another building to it.
Okay? Anything else, Dan?
Nope, I'm good.
Anything else, Paula? Rest of staff?
No, I don't have anything additional.
Is there anyone online to speak for or against this application here? Again, this resolution, I'm sorry, that's going to just basically say it's not complete. We need more items before we can move forward with a final site plan amendment discussion.
The people online look like they're on for the next three.
Next three. Okay. So with that, does the board have any comments on this? I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution as presented. Moved by Doug, seconded by Regina. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please. Aye. Okay, next item up is 2025-0102, Scott Blasey. Ron?
Yeah, there were some things that you asked be provided with the submission of the final site plan,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't find in the packet. In particular, the soils report because of the disturbance of the slopes there.
Right?
And the other thing was that they wanted to see a landscaping plan, a planting schedule for those disturbed areas so that we know how they were gonna be stabilized in the future.
Or the steep slope areas
Yeah.
that are being disturbed.
Bends of the driveway there.
Right.
If you take a real close look at the topo lines on that drawing, they end abruptly at the property line, so I'm not sure that quite.
Okay. Well, and again, this is the final site plan application, so we only get one cut at this, so we gotta have everything on this. Perfect, so. Anything else, Ron? Dan?
No, Ron summed this up nicely with the soils report. That was a condition. And the landscaping, again, was a condition of this board, to be on the final.
Okay,
Wasn't required to be on the preliminary to be signed, but it was required to be submitted with the final.
with the
document.
final, right.
The other thing was, the engineer on file for this did reach out to me, yesterday, I think it was, asking if he could submit, because he saw the resolution, the additional items for tonight, and that's not within your rules and procedures to be able to allow that.
Right.
So I said that they are more than welcome to submit everything, but it won't be reconsidered until the next submittal date.
And the next submittal date is
February.
February.
Yeah,
So
middle of February.
we would then declare complete in February for a March meeting.
Yeah, so it would be the
Second meeting.
second meeting, we would put it back in front of you guys
Right.
for it to declare complete, and then it would be on your first meeting of March since
Right,
it's a
okay.
final.
Just wanted the applicant to hear those dates, so. Anyone else have any comments on this one?
No.
How about applicant have any comments?
So I just want to be clear, you have everything you need as of yesterday or
No, nothing else was submitted. It was asked of us if we would accept it to change the resolution for tonight, but that's not how the rules and procedures work. So I have not seen the additional items as of yet for this application.
okay.
Once they
And
do-
we need
once they do get
report
submitted, then-
and landscape, that's correct.
There's 4 conditions, that's on this resolution. The soils report and the landscaping one, those came right from the conditions of the approved preliminary. The other one, well, actually, third one is too, it's the site distances measured from the proposed driveway. And then it also was a condition to respond to the town's engineer report, that dated November 27th of 2024. That should have been submitted with, the answers to his report, so.
That's the report from the MRB group.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, so we received an email back from them that said everything had been received and provided a document that he had signed. And that was back in December. I think I think Dan was. Memo.
If I recall correctly, and I would have to look it up, Dan, but I believe we did get a preliminary package back in response to the MRB comment, and I thought I had shot an email to the town stating that all of our preliminary comments have been addressed, but if I have not, I will.
we'll verify that that's true. We've got some time now to
Either
do that.
case, I think that's still applicable.
We'll verify it.
Okay. All right, yeah, that's not really, I mean, you gotta make sure it's ready for the next time around and staff will take a double check on that one, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and vote on this one. This is again, another final site plan application or second board. The board got any more questions on this one? Okay, we've got a resolution, final site plan application. It's lot 2 for the Blazy subdivision. Determination, the information submitted for this date. This application is not complete. And there's 4 conditions. Do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution? Moved by Adrian, seconded by Doug. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Lucia. Doug Beats.
Aye.
Gina Souza. Aye. Adrian Velez.
Aye.
Ed Henry.
Aye. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is PB 05 or 2025-01-03. This is for Monarch Manor, a final site plan amendment to sections 3, 4, and 5 of Monarch Manor. Ron?
Yeah, the application has to go to the town board because the resolution the town board passed back in 2015 was very specific that there would be 5 sections.
Right.
Now they want to go to 3 sections. And the town board needs to understand that they have to amend that condition of approval, which also means that the overall preliminary site plan that was approved showing 5 sections needs to be reapproved showing 3 sections with any conditions of the town board.
Mm-hmm.
So I have drafted a resolution. Walter is, I think, online. He was
You do, I see his name up there.
late getting in last night. And he's got to get up early in the morning, so he asked if he could do it remotely, and
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
I think that's fine. He understands, and he will be coming to the town board for their first meeting in February.
Okay.
And then following that, you'll have some direction as to what needs to be.
Right, right. Okay, Dan?
Yeah, so there's been a memo drafted also internally on this matter about the procedure of going to town board first. I do want to remind the applicant that there is a fee to be paid for any amendments to the incentive zoning, so that has to be taken care of as well before going in front of the town board. So that should be addressed. And I think Ron has taken the lead on this one, working with the applicant. So as soon as they are done with the town board, I think that we can see it back in front of this board.
Okay, and this will change their, what are the funds that they put up for each
The-
phase? It'll
The
be
incentive
all,
zoning amenities.
well,
The letter.
letter,
Oh, the letter credit, yes.
a letter of credit. Well, this will obviously affect that because it'll be all 3 together into one. So, staff have anything else? Walt, do you have anything else? There's 6 conditions here. You're okay with that?
Yes, sir. I did review that, and Ron and I discussed it earlier. Actually, we were looking at submitting last September, but the developer at that time wasn't quite prepared as far as how he was going to be proceeding with a home builder. Obviously, the home builder is going to have to comply with the designs that we've already used in sections 1 and sections 2.
Right.
So now he's proceeding along. We've also got prices from site contractors to do all the work, including the last 2 amenities which was approved by the town board, which was a sidewalk to be extended down from Auburn Meadows, section 3, that's to the north of us, and bring that down. It's about 1,200 feet of 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk down to Monarch, and then obviously it'll connect to the rest of the sidewalk system. Then there's also the second part of the amenity that was supposed to be completed with phase 3. Now we're calling this amended 3 through 5 because they want to complete this 40 buildings, 80 units, and with a builder that can move it along and hopefully get it done in a couple of years. As you know, the resolution, like Ron said, was quite a number of years ago, and we still only gotten through 1.5 sections, So, but you know what the economy's been like, and hopefully this year, maybe the interest rates will turn around, and there is a need for more homes at this point. So they'd like to proceed along and do that. And that second part of that, I didn't finish the second part of the amenity, was a 12-inch water main to be extended from Monarch phase 1 down to the intersection of Town Line and New Michigan Road. So we got prices for all that. That'll be completed as part of this amendment, and that'll complete the incentive zoning commitments that the developer agreed to. And like Ron said, we just have to amend it through the town board. So it reads in history properly.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. Okay, board have any comments or concerns on this one? Okay, do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution that says that this information is not complete? I have a do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this resolution? Moved by Doug, seconded by Tim. Any other comments? Clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Beat.
Aye.
Andrew Souza. Aye. Adrian Velez.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thanks, Walt.
No, thank you very much. We'll proceed with attending to the town board probably late February. So we
Perfect.
probably won't be back to the planning board until March.
Okay,
Let me know if you have a date in mind in February, Walt.
yeah, work with staff. That way you'll know when you want to do things, then staff will know what's their due and they'll tell you what the schedule is, okay?
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, the last one up is PB 2025-0104. This is for the Victor Farmington Ambulance Station 2 building renovation. This is a preliminary site plan. And again, this was found not to be complete, and there's 2 items that need to be done there. Ron?
Yeah, when we worked with the state DOT in drafting the MTOD regulations, we had to define the MTOD boundaries based on the language that's in the text, which referred to state and county highways.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2 county highways in Farmington, County Road 8, County Road 28. Taking it all the way to County Road 28 seemed a little excessive. So we took it to County Road 8. And what we have is a condition that requires the installation of sidewalks in the MTOD as part of any development.
Mm-hmm.
What we're proposing is an area variance to require, instead of putting the sidewalks in today that wouldn't connect to anything, give us an easement for those sidewalks. So that as other developments come along, maybe the solar farm just to the west,
Mm-hmm.
we'll get those easements and be able to get CAP grant money to put the sidewalks in. So they've got to go to the ZBA. It's similar to another application that you had last year.
Right.
Where you had a combined zoning board and planning board action. And it requires a referral to the county as well, so.
Okay, that means that again, we'll do the seeker, get that done, and then the zoning board will be able to do it. So it's a little lengthy of a process because of the different pieces that have to be done. Okay, Dan?
Yeah, so this resolution also, if you see condition 2, pretty much gives them the ability now to apply to the ZBA, to run it through their process. Also, it says if the area variance is granted, it will be deemed complete by you guys so that you guys can start right into your review. Yes, it's a little bit longer, but again, it doesn't have to come back to you guys to see if it's deemed complete at that point, because the application it's just needs the variance. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so, but if you guys approve this resolution tonight, the applicant who's online, and we've been working with them, understand that they'll turn around and apply and be on in February for the ZBA. So they will keep moving right along, which would put this back in front of you guys March.
But just remember, we've still got to do the seeker piece before the ZBA can do their final approval, I think, right, Ron?
Well, yeah, you designate yourself.
We'll have to designate, so the ZBA will hear it, refer it to us for seeker. We'll have to do the seeker, correct?
Yeah, you got 2 meetings in February.
Right.
Before the ZBA even hears.
Yeah, so we can have
We can do this,
the seeker in February. so that they can keep moving and they don't lose the time.
As long as they file a ZBA application.
Correct.
Aha, so, okay. So just so the applicant understands, the staff has worked hard to make sure this is as quick as humanly possible for you. Okay, anything else, Dan?
Oh, that's all I have on this one.
Anything else, the rest of the staff?
I'm good.
Applicant have anything additional they want to tell us?
Nope, thank you for getting us on tonight. We'll be making application next week and I'll spare you guys the full site plan spiel until we come back. So,
Okay, works for us.
thank you.
So make sure you get that application into the ZBA. That way staff can start putting things on so we can get the seeker done so they can do what they need to do.
Perfect.
Okay, with that, do I have a motion to waive the reading and approve this application that is not complete? Except for the only thing that's not complete is the ZBA application. Do I have somebody to move it? Moved by Doug, seconded by. Hey, Regina, anybody else have a comment? Okay, clerk, take a roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay, yep, next item up, open discussions, Ron.
I'm gonna let Dan talk about one of the new draft regulations, right, chapters of the town code, and Tim do the other one. We will have a discussion. I guess Dan is gonna lead it on subdivisions. I just wanna point out a few things, that Monarch Manor is a classic example of frustration that existed at the time for not having a deadline established for letters of credit. Well, the state law now does have that deadline. It says it's got to be within 3 years. Okay. So we, with Monarch Manor, have a letter of credit for a large part of that project that is so outdated that it's got to be redone. The same holds true for other projects like GLN, and I'm getting to the point of where I'm getting frustrated with Farmington Market Center. Okay,
Finally?
finally, the conditions of approval for that have been long overdue. Okay, so that's something that's in the new regulations that we'll be dealing with.
Okay,
The other things that are ongoing is the 23rd is a workshop with the landowners here
correct?
about the Ag Conservation Overlay District regulations that were presented to you earlier, last, at the end of any of you that can attend or Zoom in on that meeting, I encourage you to do so. Dan has set it up so that we can have Zoom participation so that these poor farmers that are living in Florida in the wintertime can participate.
What time does that start? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock. So I'm working with Lance on a presentation, show generically how a farm could be developed in the frontage eaten up very quickly with a very small number of lots, and how it could be different through the clustering provisions that are in the regulations that are under review. The other thing is the sidewalk grant project. We have reached out to Marana Homes, asking them for 2 easements. I believe they're 5 foot wide on both properties. It's just the back portion of them. We're waiting to hear back from them. It's just a matter of time, I guess, waiting to see where we're going. They still have to do the wooden railings around the bridge abutments. over there on Beaver Creek. They have to do the blacktop connection to the Stone Dust Trail and the sidewalk on 41. And we will be, so I'm told, able to come back in the spring and do the remaining sections of the sidewalk over there on Hortensia and Elizabeth Way that were delayed because of the installation of the water lines that are
Right.
now going in. So that water line has gone in underneath 332. Hopefully we'll be able to get that as part of this project. The next phase, the next grant, hopefully we'll hear in May or June on that, and we'll try to finish off some of these projects that we had asked for and not been able to do because of inflation, delays in shipping, concrete delays and things of this nature. The other thing that we are doing is some other chapter amendments. Water rules and regulations will be coming along, as well as some amendments to chapter 165 of the town code. So we'll be busy here as time allows us to carry on with these projects.
Okay,
I'm gonna let Adrian have that
yep,
floor on the Park and Rec master plan.
we will definitely give him time.
And we are still working, to my knowledge, with the people that have expressed an interest in the former Whitestone site over there on 332 County Road 41, the old water park.
Remind me what they want to do instead of the townhomes?
Well, they still want townhomes, but
Okay.
they are no longer proposing a hotel.
Oh, okay,
Instead, they're proposing a senior housing 4-story building. They're proposing a bit of a climate controlled self-storage, some kind of warehouse that's allowed in the LI district, GI. And then the other thing is on that east-west road, they want to have single family homes.
okay.
So that's basically it. I'm waiting. All I'm gonna tell you is somebody has made inquiry about the Simmons and Rockwell property over there on 96. Asked about apartments and I referred them to the building department. And I've not heard anything since then. The other thing is the dentist there,
One on 332?
on 332 has got a second building that he's going to be coming in with. And Myers is going to be trying to figure out what to do with the land that they have there. It's much higher than, so how they're going to excavate that or what they're going to do with it remains to be seen.
Okay,
That's kind of it.
well, Dan,
All right, as Ron led into, we are in the process of reviewing multiple code sections, multiple chapters. Yesterday, I met with the town board on chapter 115, which is a new chapter to our code book, which will be covering our short-term rentals, more commonly known as Airbnbs or that kind of situation. I introduced it to them to just have some time to reflect on it. When we get the comments back from them, we'll make some additions, edits and changes. We will also be sharing that with you guys. We're getting more, obviously, we're not a lake community that's been dealing with these for years, but we are starting to see them in our town. We are getting phone calls about what the regulations are. You probably have heard the governor and lawmakers have been talking a lot about this, and they're putting out regulations as well about how these have to be registered, how taxing will be enforced on these now moving forward. So there's a lot coming out, and we're just trying to make sure the town is ready and following the lead of the state and other municipalities. Ron has taken multiple codes and taken what we think is the best parts of them that fit our town the best, and now we're just doing some small changes and seeing what people are saying. And like I said, I'm hoping to be able to show you guys a version of that sometime in February. So we can get your comments as well.
I would highly encourage you to get a nice article in the supervisor's newsletter that he sends out so that people can at least reach out and get a look at the things if they're thinking about and or are currently in that business. So
Yeah, so obviously with any of these code changes I'm talking about this evening, there has to be public hearings.
Yep. yeah, but that doesn't
before-
mean people show up.
Well, absolutely, but we have talked to the supervisor about it and trying to figure out if it does align with a newsletter, absolutely, that's a
Right.
great avenue to get it out there. Otherwise, we will use our social media and see how we can get that information out there. Tim is going to cover one of the chapters, but the next chapter that I would like to cover with you guys is chapter 144. Obviously that you guys should be familiar with that one. That is our subdivision chapter. Also in there, it covers our sureties and, as Ron alluded to, these projects that have been, either approved or, the modifications, it puts some teeth in there for this board, to put a time limit on it of when things have to be done before they have to come back and see you again. Which I think is highly important. At this point, and Ron, jump in at any point here, I would like to get you the comments that we're looking at. Ron has put together a memo of what we think needs to be updated in this section, and I am in agreement with his conclusion on a lot of these things. So we've also had our construction inspectors who review these sureties and weigh in on some of this. So again, we want this board to weigh in because I think this board is an important chapter for you guys. And we would love to hear your comments because this would be the time to get it.
Is there a
address
way
it.
to grandfather in the current projects, but yet still give them a time limit that they have to come in and redo things?
I think that's difficult because you do have some clauses at higher levels of a pre-existing. But if they want to do any changes,
True.
then
If we say, so let's just say it's 3 years. Okay, I think that's what the code says, or whatever, maximum of 3. We could turn around and can't we say that everybody that's currently pre-existing starts with a date of today, and in 3 years, you're gonna have to come in at least and to redo something? I mean, I'd rather have something in there about pre-existing issues, and if we just said 3 years, they can't complain, because that's what everybody else has gotta do.
definitely something that we can.
I mean, but at the same time, I'd rather have them come in right away and review things, but that's not gonna happen probably with some of our stale old projects.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about it when it comes up.
So I will have this emailed out to you guys. We'll get it over to John.
Okay.
And we'll have him.
I'll give it to John right now. To put
Cool.
In the email, it's only 20 pages of reading.
Piece of cake, that'll put me to sleep for at least 4 or 5 nights.
Yeah, anybody has insomnia or sleep apnea.
But if there's stuff that you guys are
Right.
seeing, please let us know.
Right.
All the input is very important to it, so.
Cool.
So that is chapter 115 is short-term rental,
Can you
chapter
send me
144 is the subdivision. As Ron mentioned, we're doing it, with the ag overlay district. There was items in that that have that affect the chapter 165, which is our zoning. The big one is obviously the A80 going to our A80. But there's some other things like wood boilers. When that first came out, there wasn't regulations by the state. It is now regulated by the state, which is more restrictive than what's in our code. So there's no reason to continue to have those items in there. So we've looked at removing some of that. So we're trying to clean that chapter up as well. And the other chapter I'm working on with Ontario County Soil and Water District is our
On-site.
on-site septic, yeah, so septic tanks, pretty much. I can't remember the exact terminology we call the chapter.
Wastewater treatment systems.
Yes, on-site waste. Thank you, Rod.
Hey, you know,
So I'm working on that with them, to allow for inspections of repairs, because right now the county inspects before a sale. And some other times, there's 4 categories and I can't remember them all off the top of my head, so I apologize for that. But one of them we're looking at is when somebody comes in to do a repair, to have them inspect it to make sure the system is going to work after that repair has been done. They are the experts on septic systems. My guys have a little bit of training on it. They have a lot of training on it. That's what they do every day. So the other nice part is anything that the county does is recorded in their files and they share it with us. But they have a really nice on-site on their website that you can go in, look up your property. If you have a septic tank, it will give you all your records in real time, which the town doesn't have that capability. So that's another reason why we have paired up with them. So that's all I'm going to talk about for code. Like I said, Tim's going to talk about the park and ride.
Okay, Paula, you have anything? I don't want to skip over you. Tim?
Yeah, so I've been working with Ron on getting some park and ride rules down there. I'd like to get a sign up that puts out the rules. I believe it's gonna be chapter 103. Am I correct on that, Ron? I think so. Yeah. So basically, you know, to keep the trailers out of there, tractor trailers, commercial vehicles, you know, the RVs, you know, littering, loitering, camping, squatting, no soliciting, you know, alcohol use down there. So we've been working with him on that
Good.
to get a sign up. We'll get a sign made up, and I didn't really want to limit the amount of time they could be in there, because I know people do come down there, park, they'll be gone for a week or so, traveling with somebody else, so we'll probably include our phone number on there, so people have questions they can call. But I just had a car towed out of there today because it's been down there for 3 months, at least. So, and we had a trailer towed out of there a little while ago, but it was in our way for snow plowing.
Didn't that bus over at the homeless shelter get stuck down there for a while too?
So he still goes in there.
I was gonna say, you got it back up at the homeless shelter right now.
Yeah, so, but it'll probably be there tonight. He'll come in there, it'll be there for like overnight in the day. He keeps moving it. Not there for a long time, but he is still, so that should,
Never know.
if they read the sign,
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, anything else?
that's it for me.
Okay, Lance.
Site design criteria has been updated and it was adopted last night, I believe, by the town board.
Yep.
We provided the link to the town so that they have an online version. I'll work with Dan on getting the copies and Ron and getting the copies to the town, hopefully next week, and then we can start distributing those. We also provided the updated swamp plan to the town. That's their stormwater management plan as governed by the MS4 permit that they have and operate under. So that has been updated and provided to the town as a draft form right now. It still needs to be reviewed and authorized by the town to move forward to the next step, which would be adoption by the town board. Our goal would be to get that done before April, which is when the next annual report requirements are
Mhm.
required by DEC. MRB Group and Hancock are still offering the boot camp free training once a month. We have 10 sessions starting in January. They're on our webpage now. I will send the town a link just so that it can be forwarded to board members that may be interested and then so on. So I'll provide that information. And then, not sure if you're aware or not aware, but there is some new wetland permitting requirements new this year between Army Corps and New York State DEC. Basically, there's a threshold on size before there was size to determine whether it was state and whether it was federal, and then you would follow suit with those two agencies. Well, they've reduced the state threshold to a much smaller number. So anything that falls within that area of square footage has to go through DEC and the Corps. It gets regulated by both. The problem with that is that the timing of getting responses is gonna be fairly long because it's running through both agencies for review. The important part for this board, and I think for staff, and we're still learning, took a class today, is that every application, so we usually, if we had a short form that was provided to you, as part of any site plan, single family home or whatever, the general rule that we would use to determine whether or not there's potential wetlands is looking at that form and using the resources available to us to say, yep, there's wetlands on site. It says so here. Let me look at a map. Yep, there's some wetlands from whatever that dated map was that when they were created. Then they would follow suit with justifying, creating a delineation and going through that review with the Corps and or DEC if needed. Now you get that short form and it's checked yes, or if it's checked no, it still very much could mean that there's wetlands on site. They have to go through an environmental resource mapper, which is another online program that the Corps and DC are using, where they've already started documenting wetlands that have been delineated. I believe those are identified in green. So if you're a single family resident, you submit an application to the town, the short form says, no, there's no wetlands on site. We're still gonna require them to go through and provide this resource that supports it. And if their parcel has a greened outline on it, that means there's documented wetlands and they gotta go through this review and coordination with the Corps and DEC. If there's this magenta or purple color, it means there's probably wetlands on site, but haven't been mapped yet, which means the applicant has to go online, potentially go through, do a jurisdictional review and report with the coordination with the Corps and DEC, which gives them about 90 days to 120 days to complete a review. So it's gonna take a while on some of these applications to get through the environmental component if there's wetlands on site.
That basically means that our seeker process has just expanded to a
Potentially.
much longer process.
I mean, there's,
We can just basically start it, put it on hold until everything's complete and then come back to it.
I think
It's just gonna
generally,
make the residents so happy.
I think there's scenarios that exist where engineering firms and applications that are being submitted to the town, we can do our job of informing them of what they need to do to verify and make that part of the application process that, look, you gotta go utilize this resource, vet out whether or not there's wetlands on site, and you may need to do a jurisdictional review report and hire a firm to do that if you want to build on the site.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it?
That's
I mean,
it.
that's enough.
Yeah.
All right,
I know, there's a lot more. I haven't,
I was on that this afternoon.
Yeah.
There's a lot right here.
yes, I mean,
that'll slow down some building.
the concerns are obviously from code enforcement officers and applications that have smaller projects, but
Well,
Any
you the other
lakefront
side is we
property-
can't get the power anyway, so what the heck, what's the difference? Can't get RG&E to get the power. Dan, you forgot to mention the
Oh, yeah.
numbers on the
Thank-
applications.
Thank you, Ed. So you guys probably noticed tonight that we're starting a new application number, or trying that. The reason is when we enter into our computer system, it puts the year first. And searching and all that, to try to save some time on my end, we're asking to be able to put the year in first and then the month and then what application number it is. So, so it would be 2025-01 for January and then 01, 02, 03, depending on what order they came in. I know it's new for everybody and change is always hard, but I'm asking if this is gonna be a major issue or if we can try it to just.
Well, and he asked me and I says, I don't care what the number is. I mean, it's just a friggin' number and, you know, whether it's one way or the other way, as long as it's consistent from here on, I think we're okay.
Yeah, and when I sent out the agenda, I asked everybody to feedback and John got back to me. He said he didn't think it was gonna be an issue, so. Hey, if John's happy with it, I'm happy with it.
That probably is the most important piece to the whole puzzle. I agree. Exactly.
I just couldn't find the agenda online though, on our website yet. They're not- We just haven't put up 2025 yet.
I don't think it is online. That's part of what I was gonna work with Marcy about.
Okay, this one can get up there, yeah.
Okay.
So the website has, if you go on the website, you will notice, if you click on some of our forms, it's coming back as a bad link. Some of that has to do with storage. We have to take stuff down to put stuff up. So there's a little,
Cheap.
I'm letting you
Storage
know
is cheap.
what.
Money up there now, I think.
So there's definitely some issues with our website that the package we buy into, we can only do so much. And, so we have to look, just like Lance giving us the site design criteria. That's a very large document. We gotta make room for it. Even taking the old one down doesn't give me
Probably
enough
won't
room.
help. Yeah,
So it's, we're working on it.
okay. With that, Adrian, give us a Cliff Notes version on how the Parks and Rec master plan's going.
Well, the committee's done with everything and they're passing it on to the town board right now. But I mean, so the committee of different people from the town and residents of the town, different age groups that went through the old parks and some new land we have to see how we want to. What's priority, what's not, what can be funded, what can't be, or what can go with grants and some of it. So this is the next 10-year plan of how to keep the parks going and make sure everybody's happy with some kind of.
What's the highest priority?
Jeez, I don't know.
Probably the community center,
Yeah,
probably
something like that.
and then they wanted what, splash pads,
Yeah.
dog parks.
There's a lot of stuff.
Sounds expensive to me.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but they want big things, but, you know,
Nobody wants to tax you.
Yeah, so- I think it's gonna be baby steps, but.
Okay,
see
I
where it
appreciate
goes.
that. Now, the town board has got this and then they're gonna review it.
They'll get it at their next meeting.
Okay.
The
And
chairperson will be
then there's gotta be a public hearing on it, I assume?
eventually.
Okay. All right.
Go back.
We can get this started anyway.
I had one here. Cool. I brought it.
Well, I'll get another, ability to sleep for that other. Site criteria. Anybody else on the board have any comments, questions?
That's a good question. Because you deemed everything not complete tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know if we rolled something over from the first meeting, but no, we didn't. No. I didn't know if we did.
So, all right, so you have two things that are pending that could happen in February. First one would be the Victor Farmington ambulance, for seeker.
Yeah,
That's gonna hit in February. Could it hit the first or second meeting? It could hit either one of those, depending on when the application comes into the ZBA. As you heard the engineer online tonight, he's gonna try to get it in next week, so it's a real possibility it could be at your first meeting. The other one is you guys continued the Alexander Shear to your second meeting of February. We still have not heard back from the,
Natural fuel gas.
yes, the fuel gas, Empire Fuel Gas. I had Augie reach out last week, and they said that their land division is still reviewing the information that was submitted. The other thing that I reached out to the applicant on was the mapping of the wetlands that we had talked about, and make sure that they didn't forget that we still needed that information. I anticipate, because they're like, oh yeah, we're trying to work with DEC and get you that information, especially with everything that came out today. I anticipate DEC saying that they're gonna have to go through the process. So,
That plus the questions that we have on a raised bed, I would say so.
yeah, so that is on the 15th. So is there a possibility that we do the ambulance also on the 15th for seeker? And not have anything on your first meeting? Sure, there's a possibility there. But we also have a bunch of code stuff that we want you guys to review and work on too, so. To answer that, I don't have a good answer. But that's,
We have to have a quick meeting on first one for some
Right.
code stuff and maybe the ambulance, I mean, fine, and
Yep.
and I know, Doug, you said the second meeting. So. That's February breaks. And that meeting is, we continue the application to that meeting, so that one has to happen. Your first one in February is, again, a questionable one.
Well,
it's in.
Well, you get, again, you have to work with the applicant on that, and they have to agree for a continuation, which normally they will, because they don't want you to deem it a pos docket, and then they have to go through. So normally, and I mean, Lance or, yeah,
At least, if they have to do the wetlands, it's at least 90 days.
right.
So, yeah, it's, the rule of thumb basically is that there is an online process that they believe, I'm sure, that they might at some point in time be able to get through pretty quickly. So if you were the applicant and you already did a delineation because you were in front of it and you submitted it and you were saying there is no wetlands on my site, I think it's gonna be a fairly quick review back saying, hey, you're good, move on. But if you're an applicant and you don't have the delineation and you had to, and there is potential wetlands on site because it's earmarked on the mapping that's been provided, then that process is gonna take a while because now you gotta go hire somebody or have the Corps do it for you. And then you gotta wait in their long process to get this. completed. So what they should be doing is what we've been telling them to do is, one, they said they've already reached out to DEC and got authorization. I don't want to put words in their mouth. My understanding is that they believe they have authorization from DEC to utilize the old mapping. I don't know that to be true, but that's what I'm understanding. We're told them to provide evidence of that as part of their application, because if they don't, with this, the on-site wastewater systems that they're proposing to use and the location of them in proximity to wetlands that were previously identified on the site, they would have to go out and delineate that to confirm they're not within the distance.
we can figure that out at the, or around that meeting with the applicant of.
Well,
Well, maybe, maybe not.
yeah, I mean, we're hoping to have more information, but again, it might be a conversation with the applicant of what they think is their timeline, and then what we think might be the timeline, and if we can all agree upon something, yes, it might be a continuation. Or it might be that they heard back and maybe the project's not gonna move forward. I can't speak to where that direction is.
I would hope that you talk to them after today's meeting or whatever, that with the changes, that they understand what, maybe they weren't privy to that information, or at least let them.
One email from DEC, I'm pretty sure I remember reading that the guy from DEC mentioned proposed at the time, proposed regulations.
We mentioned it at previous two PRC meetings with them, or at least I have.
I don't know if they understand
get made aware of it.
But
It's gonna be a mess.
just for the record, we did coordinate with DEC on this application. They didn't have any comments. And therefore, we consider they have no objections to anything that they've seen. And you can move forward if they come back at a later date, say there's wetlands there that you need to delineate. And if that affects the drawings, then it's in DEC's hands.
Well, we'll certainly follow the staff's lead on where we go with this and how we do it and what the timelines are and.
Seeker was never intended to delay a project.
Well, I got a feeling this has changed that.
At least that's the language in the seeker regulation.
With that,
I just wanted one more thing.
go ahead, Ron.
We have learned that Sky Solar has a new engineer on board now because Emily Thomas has moved on to someplace else, I don't know where. I told you that we talked with Jonathan Orpin, and he has no objections to the lot line adjustment map. I don't think that's come in yet for you to sign.
It has not.
And last I heard was that they thought it would be late February or March before they'd have final plans.
Well, they can do final plans all they want. If they don't get the preliminary ones in, they can't file final, so.
There you go.
If they don't submit that, it's only by March 1st, they'll get held up.
All right, anybody else have anything else? Motion to adjourn by Regina, seconded by Adrian, all in favor? Aye. All right, guys. Got